Great event for us. This is actually our second to last event of our 60th anniversary celebrations, and for all intents and purposes, this is like our last major event for our 60th. Next week we're going to have an open house at the pool, and we're sponsoring hot dogs and sponsoring essentially the day of enjoyment there. But as far as just the Civic Association, this is the last major event we have for our 60th anniversary. 60 years ago, population of North Springfield was pretty much non-existent. Everybody moved in July 1st of 1955, and they actually moved into the houses right in this general area. These houses that you see around here were all the model homes that Mr. Carr built. And so when people were buying houses at least 6 months in advance, they'd come look at these houses and they'd be like, hey, this is a nice place. This was the original entrance. And so I think it's fitting and proper that we actually buried the time capsule here, close to our sun, close to our original entrance here in North Springfield. We've definitely come a long way, and we're very fortunate that our past president over here, Ron Kinzer, found a lot of archives in his garage. And so we've been able to go through there, pull a lot of different pieces out, and we've got a lot of them that are going to be in the time capsule. So people who open this on July 3rd of 2055, a very long time away from now, 40 years, or 39 years or so, they'll open it up and find a lot of things either from our archives or photocopies of some things from our archives. We're fortunate enough that a lot of our residents, including Norma Heck, who unfortunately could not be here tonight, we were very fortunate though that Norma and people like the Chetts of the world, Chet McLaren and the Ed Stocks of the world, they have a lot of institutional knowledge. They remember when things happened back in the 50s, they remember when things happened in the 60s, and all the way up until today. And when we go to open this in 2055, we won't have everybody around. We did have a Reflections of Original Residents meeting at our November Civic Association meeting. Supervisor Quick was fortunate enough to come and join us for that for a little bit. He gave us a nice proclamation, and actually, if I recall, it was your anniversary, so you stepped away from your anniversary to we had someone at that meeting who filmed the entire event, filmed all the speakers who were talking. He was able to put together a DVD for us, and we're going to put that in the time we do have a time capsule. And it's going to be incumbent upon the people in 2055 to figure out how to play a DVD. But we have it documented there. We've got a lot of other fun things in there. One of the great things that we had suggested, it was actually Margaret Panic's idea, was having a lot of our residents today write letters to the future homeowners of their homes in 2055. It might be a letter to themselves, we never know that. It might be a letter to somebody else. It might be a letter to someone who's going to grow up to be famous. But we'll find those letters in the time capsule as well. Growing up, one of my favorite movies that I like to watch was Back to the Future. I'm sure some of you have seen Back to the Future as well. Back to the Future 2, the main character, Marty McFly, he goes from 2015 all the way back to 1955. And when we had our Reflections of Original Residents meeting, I made that parallel, so it is just like we're in Back to the Future. Now in 2055, it's going to be almost like they're in Back to the Future 3. Back to the Future 3, you've got Marty McFly again, and he sees that something happens to his mentor, and his mentor just disappears into the past. And just as his mentor disappears into the past, someone comes and delivers a letter from about 60 to 80 years earlier that has just been sitting in a vault, waiting for someone to come and get it at a specific time. So we have picked a specific time to open this, and it's going to be just like Back to the Future 3 for them. They're opening up, and they're going to be reading things from the past, from today. And it's my hope that future generations will come to appreciate all that the Civic Association has done, based on the contents that we have in here, based on the accomplishments that we detailed in a lot of our different archives. And I hope that when they open this on the centennial, that they'll have celebrations that are even bigger than the celebrations that we had for our 60th anniversary. What's very interesting is we are technically not in the Braddock District right now. We are technically in the Mason District. And Supervisor Gross, unfortunately, was not able to attend. She had a prior commitment. But when North Springfield was originally founded, we were in the Mason District. And then eventually the Annandale District was formed. Annandale District got renamed the Braddock District. But when we were both the Annandale District as well as the Braddock District, we were very fortunate enough to be represented by our now chairman, Chairman Bulova.
Yay!
Wearing that hat.
We're going to take this quarterback next year.
That being said, though, since we are competing then for the spaces here, I would like to turn the ground over to Chairman Bulova to give some remarks, and then also to Supervisor Cook afterwards.
Okay. Thank you. First of all, I love time capsule stuff. I feel like we're sort of getting into a capsule and sending ourselves off into the future. As though we're in a spaceship, and we're going to sleep for a while, and we get to open our eyes and wake up in a future time. That's always how I kind of feel, and I love the idea of people opening up the capsule and reading about, seeing what it was like way back when the time capsule was first buried. So I guess my message to the future, we've got a lot of information in the time capsule about what North Springfield was like when it was first built, when it was first settled, when this was a brave, outpost, when this was considered to be far out, and now it's close in, and pioneers such as Norma Heck and Chet McLaren, moved in to a brand new neighborhood. But I think people 40 years from now are going to be looking back, and what I would like them to be thinking is, what a good job people have done of taking care of, revitalizing it, making sure that the community continues to be the kind of strong place that families will want to settle in, and will nest, and will make sure that North Springfield continues to be the kind of place that people want to live, work, and play. So I think that'll be neat. Whatever the technology is, whatever the transportation is, however people are communicating, this will be continuing to be the kind of place where people will want to make their home and raise their children, and grow older comfortably, and be good neighbors. So congratulations, and thanks for the opportunity to participate.
My turn. Great. Well, I was thinking about this earlier in the week, and in 1971, my hometown had its sesquicentennial, 150 years, a little older, but I saved some wooden nickels from that event. I did. And, I've had them there under the basement steps someplace. But it occurred to me recently that in 5 years it'll be the bicentennial, and I'm going to go back and take my wooden nickel. And, how neat, right? That somebody would have actually been around 50 years ago. And time capsules are sort of like that, when you connect a piece of the time to the future. And if you're putting something in the time capsule, we're communicating to the future. And when somebody opens it up, they're receiving a communication from the past, which is just kind of a neat human thing. Time is uniquely human. I'm going to go way off on a tangent, but I happen to be reading an article this week written by a former client of mine. It's one of these professors that used to be at George Mason, and he studies the nature of the universe and all this stuff we can't understand. And the article was about how the universe really is so different than the way we perceive it, because human perception is very narrow. And one of those perceptions is the concept of time. The idea that the tree falls in the forest and nobody's there to hear it, then it make a noise. Well, scientists talk about whether prior to humans there really was time, because there was no one there to measure it. Because time is something that we do as human beings. The universe is not necessarily constructed based on time. But when you think about the things that we value as people, we're really tied to time, to anniversaries and celebrations and history, and you know, the connection of time and place is history, and that's how we as people think about our lives. So time is this unique concept, and we celebrate it when we do something like this. And in 39 years, when people open it up, they will get a communication from us. We can't literally go back or go forward in time like Michael J. Fox did in the movie. But in some ways we will, because we're going to communicate, you know, with the future. What just a uniquely human kind of neat thing that is. So it's fun to be able to stop from all the everyday stuff that we do and just do something kind of neat and uniquely human and talk to the future. I mean, how cool. So thanks for inviting me to take part in it.
So to do all the 60th anniversary celebration events that we wanted to do, we obviously needed to have some funds to do that. We launched a capital campaign. It's called 6 for 60. Asked just residents to donate $6 in honor of our 60th anniversary. That campaign alone just netted $3,000 roughly for us to be able to do a bunch of things. And we were fortunate enough to have two donors who were willing to sponsor this. You know, one of the donors was a family named Todd and Nancy Kagi, and they love their neighbor across the street. She's one of the original residents, and she even told me a story when I spoke with her before. She told me a story that before the Beltway, or the Circumferential as it was known then, didn't have the sound walls up there, and before it was completed, there was no cars there, so she just let her kids go and ride their bikes on the Beltway. There's nobody there to stop them, so it was fantastic. But you know, they wanted to donate it in her honor, just because she's been a staple in the community for a very long time. The other donor that we had was Miss Frances Kurtz, and her husband Frederick was a resident here for a long time as well, and sadly he passed away a couple of years ago. But I do want to recognize one of Frederick and Francis' sons, Fred, and he's going to tell us a little bit, give us a couple of remarks as well.
Very, very briefly here. Just first, Ken, thanks so much, and the Civic Association and Supervisor Cook, and especially Chairman Bolivar. You know, you've contributed so much to this area through the years, so special thanks to you. Yeah, just a little bit briefly about my father. He moved here to North Springfield almost exactly 60 years ago today. It had been a very busy few years prior to coming here, and he'd made many moves along the way. He left his home in Richmond in '42 to go to Fort Bragg for initial training, then on to Europe, where he fought in the Battle of the Bulge and later helped free Bastogne as part of Patton's Third Army. After the German surrender, I remember him telling me this, he was working with a new rifle that they'd be using over in Japan on a rifle range. And all his gear had already been stored on a ship headed for Japan the next morning. And he got the call that the war was over. Of course, very good news. He then went to UVA on the GI Bill, married my mother, who was right here, and moved to Philadelphia to earn an MBA from the Wharton Business School. After graduating, he accepted a teaching position at George Washington University, then another at West Virginia University a few years later, so obviously a lot of moves along the way. In '56, he moved back to the DC area to teach at GW once again, and decided it was time for a more permanent home, so he purchased a house under construction on Fremont Street. He would never move again. He spent the next 59 years right here in North Springfield. Taught at GW for 43 of those years, maintained a CPA practice for 39. Raised 3 children, including me, and played a major role in raising 3 grandchildren who are also here today. It really was an idyllic setting that he provided us with to grow up with. We walked or biked to North Springfield Elementary School just down the street. Worked as lifeguard, summers at the pool, played ball at the many fields on the other side of the tracks. Played in the stream, actually, just down the hill, and played kickball or dodgeball late into the night under the light of the street lamps. As Chairman Bova was saying that, you know, it's hard to believe now, but North Springfield was considered the country back then. And relatives from Chicago that visited shortly after my parents moved here were just remarked at how my parents even found a place so far from the city. Of course, the roads were nothing like they were today, yet my father had to make the trip to D.C. no matter the conditions, because they never canceled classes at that time. So made some very exciting commutes. As big a part as North Springfield played in my father's life, and for so long a time, I think it's just especially nice that his name could be on the capsule. I think he would have really liked the idea, and on behalf of my mother and the rest of my family, I just want to thank you for honoring my father in this way. So,
this side looked like. It's an amazing transformation that took place over the course of literally about 2 hours. My good friend over here, Mauricio Martinez, is the owner of Joe's Landscaping, or Joe's Flagstone. Yes. Sorry, and he and his foreman came here. It literally took about 2 hours just to transform it from that into this. And I had asked him to find a way just to kind of secure the time capsule there and the stone there, and I wasn't expecting all of this, but we're very grateful that he can do that. So thank you so much, Mauricio, and with those. It does, add quite a beautification, atmosphere here to this area, and of course we have our beautification chair here at Stock. We also have a longtime board member, Chet McLaren, who is from Parks, served a very long time on the Park Authority, and he's our Parks liaison. And we have a past president here, Ron Kinzer. There's some of our more senior board members, and I'm going to put you all on the spot. Is there anything you would like to add before we conclude?
Just who's going to maintain this?
That's a really good question. Classic.
So good. And of course, I do want to also point out Ivan Cruza, as well as Margaret Panic. They're two of our other board members, our Minority Outreach Chair, as well as our Secretary. So that being said, I'm thankful for all of you coming out here to witness this. I'm also thankful for God for stopping the skies from raining on us for a while. And with that, I'm just going to ask Fred and Ed, if you don't mind, there's a little rope down there.
Yeah,
if you don't mind,
let me show you that.
I see. Okay, very nice.
Okay,